Welcome to Real Talk, Real Wellness with Alicia. I'm Alicia, a woman's holistic wellness practitioner, and this podcast is where we get real. No fluffs, no filters, about what it truly takes to feel well physically, mentally, and emotionally. Let's get stuck in. So I hope you're all doing well and transitioning into autumn smoothly. Okay, in my last episode, I spoke about the power of women and community and how we heal when we gather, share stories, lift each other up. You know, that is one form of medicine. But there's another form of medicine. There's many forms of medicine, okay? But there's another form that is often sort of gets overlooked. The power of being with yourself. Some people call it solitude. Some call it stillness. But I'm really talking about creating space to connect inwards without distraction and without compromise. So often we confuse being alone with being lonely. Loneliness is that aching emptiness, a sense of being disconnected. But being with yourself is very different. It's not emptiness, it's presence actually. It's fullness. It's where you discover your own company and begin to see the strength in it, the strength in that space. And there are some studies out there that show why this actually matters so much. You know, time spent intentionally by yourself lowers stress, restores the nervous system, and even sparks creativity. It allows the brain to shift gears and the body to sort of regulate itself. However, this is fairly new. Long before the research confirmed it, indigenous healing systems already understood this. In many traditions, time alone was considered a sacred vision quest. Women retreating to nature during certain life transitions. You had the Arawak, the ancient Arawak and Taino people of the Caribbean. They were a people of cycles and gathering together, and then periods of retreat were part of the cycles. All of these practices honored time alone as medicine. Okay, so when we give ourselves that space today, we're not doing something new, we're remembering something quite ancient. And here's something especially important. This is very important for us as women. From childhood, we're told in direct and in subtle ways that our value is tied to being in a relationship. Find a partner, get married, stay connected to a man. But being with yourself challenges that whole story. It challenges that narrative. Not being in a relationship doesn't mean you are incomplete. It doesn't mean you're missing something. It means you are learning to face the world on your own terms. And that can be one of the most empowering positions you'll ever stand in. When you're not consistently considering someone else's opinions or needs, you have a level of freedom. Freedom to make decisions without compromise, freedom to explore who you are, freedom to create your own rhythm instead of marching to someone else's drum. This doesn't mean you're rejecting relationships, no. On the contrary, a healthy, loving partnership can be beautiful, but the most powerful relationship you will ever have is the one you build with yourself. And making space to be with yourself is how you nurture that. So why is this such a powerful medicine? Why is solitude such a powerful thing? Well, it resets the nervous system. In a world of constant stimulation, I grew up at a time when the TV channels signed off. They just stopped. There was nothing to watch. And you had to sort of have moments of stillness. If you had no one around you, you had to have moments of solitude. There was nothing around you to stimulate you. There was nothing bombarding you with information. And we live in a day and time where you can access information. You can be entertained 24/7. And that is having a massive impact on our well-being. Time alone helps the body return to balance. You have the opportunity to hear your own voice. It reveals your own voice without all the outside noise. Your truth rises to the surface. Time alone builds strength. When you can be at ease in your own company, you stop settling just to avoid being alone. It sparks clarity and creativity. Many of the best ideas don't come in a crowd, my dear. They come in silence. And when we weave in the indigenous wisdom of it all, we see that this isn't just stillness. It isn't a simple pause or a moment of rest. It's transformation. The time with yourself is where old patterns fall away, where new insights arrive, where spirit is finally heard, where you can actually hear your own inner voice. That's your spirit. That's why so many traditions honored it, not as emptiness, but as initiation and as renewal. For me, spending time by myself, it was uncomfortable at first. I didn't always know what to do with the space, But once I stopped resisting it, something shifted. I started journaling. I became more creative. I went on lots of walks without headphones. And slowly I realized it wasn't uncomfortable anymore. It was actually nourishing and needed. And I'll never forget one year, many moons ago, many years ago, when I decided to take myself on a trip to Barcelona. 5 days completely on my own. And I was still quite young. And that was like the first time I'd ever traveled solo. I did actually what I wanted. I did exactly what I wanted. I woke up when I wanted. I went to bed when I wanted. I wandered through the streets and looked at the beautiful architecture. I went to museums. I sat by the harbour. I even went out late at night. This wasn't the wisest thing, but I went out late at night and watched the break dancers performing on the street. was amazing. And because it was just me, there was no TV, no one else's opinions, no compromise, just me living fully. Those 5 days were healing. They were days of connecting with myself, of doing what lit me up, of listening inward. And honestly, it felt like a rites of passage. It was another step into my womanhood, if you like, because I proved to myself that I could be in my own company and not just survive it, but actually enjoy it. And I've seen the same with other women who thought they had to keep filling every gap with people, noise, activity. Then one day they gave themselves permission to sit quietly, to be in their own company, and they discovered there was something quite powerful in this, quite powerful in holding space by themselves, for themselves. They were whole, or they are whole. So how do we start to embrace this practice of being with ourselves? Well, you can start small. Begin with micro moments. 5 minutes of journaling, sit with a nice herbal tea and just journal. Just write down what you're feeling. Write down what's happened. Write down what has impacted you over the week. Do some mindful breath work before you sleep. Take yourself away from people for a few minutes and just give yourself that time to go inward. Scan your body. Scan yourself. I love to do weekly scans. See what's happening with your body. Where are you feeling tight in your body? Where are you feeling any aches or pains? Scan your body. See what's happening. You can try solo walks. Notice your breath again. Remember, breath is the first cycle. We are creatures of cycles, and your breath is one of the first cycles. Excuse me. Solo walks are amazing. But acknowledge your steps that you're taking. Look at the environment, absorb it. Lean on nature a little bit. Sit under a tree, buy some water, or just look up at the sky. Absorb nature. Nature is healing, and I'm going to do an episode on that. Explore your creativity. Create a creative ritual. Write, paint, move your body. Not for anybody else, but just for yourself. Tap into your creativeness. And if you're ready, expand it. Take a solo trip. Maybe start with a day trip. Give yourself an afternoon. Take yourself to dinner, to the cinema. Take yourself to the museum. Remember, this isn't about I'm by myself. This is I'm with myself. Okay, we're changing the narrative. You are taking yourself out for a date. Now let me be clear. This isn't about choosing one over the other. This isn't about choosing solitude or community or a social environment or being with other people. No, obviously I'm not saying that. Community is where we're held by somebody else. Community is where we allow others to support us. Stillness is where we learn to hold ourselves. Both are medicine and both are needed. When women gather, we heal in one way. When a woman learns to be at peace in her own presence, she heals another. Together, they create wholeness. So let's look at some journal prompts. Number 1. When was the last time I felt deeply restored after being with myself? Number 2. What stories do I carry about being single, alone, or in stillness? Number 3. How can I reframe time alone as empowerment rather than emptiness? Number 4. What's one ritual I can create this week to honor my own company? Number 5. How can I honor stillness the way my ancestors once did, as medicine, as initiation, as connection to spirit? Now, ladies, if this episode resonates with you, share it with another woman who might need this reminder. Remember, wellness is not about perfection. It's about connection, balance, and reclaiming your wholeness. Until next time, oneness, wholeness, peace.